everyone. So I'm Becky. So I'm town planner based in the Savills Southampton office. I've been there for just coming up to 4 years now, so quite a long time, but feels like a long time at least. Again, I'm Louisa. I just started about 2 months ago on the Grad scheme in London. Yeah, I don't know a lot about planning yet, but yeah. So we both Southampton alumni. So we're going to do a couple of introductions. Actually, I actually have the slide. So we're going to talk through like town planning as a career and then Savills in general as well, because while we have planning grad schemes, there's also quite a large range of other property related schemes and employment opportunities as well. So we're going to go through a quick introduction, so a bit more in depth about ourselves, what actually is town planning, day to day of like what it actually looks like to be a town planner or a private consultancy town planner, some case studies and some projects that we're working on at the moment, what grad opportunities there are at Savills, and then top tips, and then any questions. Um, any question, I'm would like be happy to answer, whether it's about planning, whether it's about life after uni, anything. Cool. So me first. So I'm Becky. Nice to meet you guys. I graduated in 2021, so my university experience was really heavily coloured by COVID. So I had a bit of a different experience in terms of like my third year and then actually grad schemes and applying for those. So hopefully Louisa will be able to give an insight about actually now we're out of COVID, what that is like. I was SCW, so the rugby club president, and then a bit I was heavily involved, as you can see, covered in mud most Wednesdays. And then my dissertation was what actually inspired my interest in planning. So I looked at the subculture of skateboarding in Southampton and how that changed the built environment. So then went on to did some time out, and then went on. Well, I was a state agent for a little bit, and then got onto the grad scheme at in the Savills Southampton office. I went through the degree apprenticeship route, which both me and Louisa are doing. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But basically, in a nutshell, that meant that we did a part-time master's while working full-time, and then got fully sponsored through that master's as well. So it was, best of both worlds, basically, of being paid to get a master's and then actually just being paid. And then finally, I have a passion in feminist urbanism. So that's looking at how the built environment should and could respond to women's needs and how it hasn't done in the past. And through my application for that, I was awarded a Woman of Influence by RTPI Planning Magazine of 2025, and then also awarded Future Talent of the Year for at the Business Awards. So it's been a busy year. Yeah. So I graduated last year at uni. I was kind of a social member of like rugby, swimsuit, and mixed lacrosse, just trying a bit of everything. And then I did a dissertation exploring women's feeling of safety in Southampton. This is kind of when I like first thought of planning. I went to a conference in Leeds and I heard about like the impact planners can make. Then I did this module with all of you. I sat here listening about grant applications, but I kind of thought that's next year's problem. Do you want to deal with it? So I did a gap year. I was just working at a restaurant called the Ivy, and then I did like grad app season. So that's I think just ended now. But if you start next year, it's like October to end of November, and you'll just see if you do want to apply to grad schemes, you're just doing one after the other. It's not that fun, but let's get through it. And then I started at Margaret Street 2 months ago. And I'll just go through more of like the application process and kind of general advice for if you want to apply to Savills or just any other planning firm. I'll go through that later. Cool. So what is town planning? Can I get a show of hands of people who you feel like you know what town planning is, actually heard of it, actually you're aware of it? Yeah, okay, that was better than last year, so that's already an improvement. Cool. So town planning in a nutshell is basically what guides all development within the UK or specifically within England. So you've got different legislation for different parts of the country. So we mainly focus on England. It's looking at how land should be used, how it could be used, and then following the guidelines put in place by the local councils and then also the wider government. We have, it's very law based. We do have a lot of legislation and policies that we need to follow. For example, the National Planning Policy Framework, that is the Planner's Bible. If you probably might have heard it in the news recently, like with the Labour government talking about how they want to build, I think it's like 1.3 million houses. It is a hot topic at the moment, is planning, how we're going to plan for our futures and, make the built environment work best for us. And yeah, the key part of being a planner is that you're balancing sustainable development alongside all the other pressures that could be a part of land. So, agricultural well-being, like social issues, so how that land can be best used. And then yeah, most importantly, environmental protection. Like how do we make sure that the built environment also responds to global warming, climate change? So me and Louisa, we're private consultancy planners. So you got two types of planners. You've got private consultancy, and then you've got local authority. So the easiest way to sort of explain it is that local authority is you set the policies, you set the plans, and you approve applications. As a private consultancy planner, you are working with clients to submit applications and to sort of advocate for development or for what they want. Um, but yeah, pretty much it. The day to day. So me and Louisa are based in slightly different offices. Well, based in different offices, different teams. So our day to day does look ever so slightly different. But the most key thing to sort of highlight is you'll probably hear this from everyone who does these sort of talks, but genuinely every single day is so different when it comes to private consultancy planning. You can be working on a massive range of projects for anything from like large strategic residential sites. So for example, there's a site that I work on in Horsham, which is for 2,500 homes, and that's been going on for well over a decade now. So it's a long-term project. Or you can do like slightly smaller things, like something as simple as like putting up fences. Like it all comes under that big umbrella of planning. But yeah, so it's really varied. You've got site assessments, so that's when we look at, say you've got a piece of land and you want to know what you could do with it. You would come to me or Louisa and you'd say, can you have a look at this? And we'd go look at policies, we'd look at what environmental constraints there might be, and basically give you a summary of what you could do. Um, there's actually doing the planning permissions. So that's like the big stuff. That is when we actually submit an application, which could then be approved or rejected by council. What else is there? Lots of things. Yeah, the key thing with planning is that you're constantly negotiating, whether that's with clients, whether it's with councils, whether it's other consultants, you're constantly talking. So that is something that is really nice about planning, is that you are constantly meeting people, talking to people, and also being a part of you feel like you're part of a bigger picture, because you're actually bringing forward development, and you can like walk past something and be like, I helped on that. Okay, so some case studies. So this is a project I'm working on in Southampton at the moment. I think you guys might recognise it. So the Southampton Central Station is here, and then you've got the Toys R Us sort of site on the other side. You'd walk out here and along, and then it is this commercial road, so 69 to 81 commercial road. It is currently a vacant office block. It's been vacant for about it's been vacant for about 5 years now. It's basically just a massive office block, and the way that we're working, or the way that companies are working post COVID, is very different. So these really big, like floor plans, lots of desk spaces, they're just not wanted by companies anymore. They want something a lot more flexible, a lot more smaller, sort of like hot desking. So it had absolutely no interest, and it's been sitting there empty. So my client came in, and they have proposed to build 700 beds of student accommodation, because there is quite a strong need for student beds in Southampton at the moment. The universities are growing, and they have nowhere to go, and everyone's in probably I could probably speak for everyone because I was also this in HMOs and or houses of multiple occupation, which it's a long-winded argument, but there's more. It's believed that there's a better way for housing stock to be used if there's a good balance between HMOs and purpose-built student accommodations. So this commercial road. So it's going to be up to 18 stories, which is pretty big, and it's going to change the landscape quite a lot. As you can see, there was a real push to make sure that the development created this like gateway to Southampton. So when you walk out of that central station at the moment, especially on the Toys R Us side, you don't really feel like you're entering a big like port city. You feel like you're entering scrubland. So that was a really key. Ooh, sorry, had a message come up. That's weird. Okay. So that was really a key part that the council wanted us to do. So make a really big like open gateway. There's going to be a lot of biodiversity brought into the site. So you can see from the landscaping plans where at the moment it's all just hard standing car park, but it's now going to be a lot of different like trees native planting. So the B&G, so biodiversity net gain, which is basically how much extra biodiversity you get on the site, is like skyrocketed for this, which is really positive. But yeah, as you can see, it's gonna be a big old change, and it got approved, so that's really positive. So this is one that I've just been brought onto in London. So I don't know too much about it yet. It's in the early stages, but it's in Welwyn Garden City. So you have Welwyn Garden City sort of this side of the railway. It's really pretty. It's really green. A lot of modern development, and then you cross it, and there's just a lot of disused industrial space. So this has already been built, but before it was all just brownfield essentially. It wasn't an attractive area. So what we are proposing, sorry, Becky. What we're proposing is a big like apartment complexes, some affordable, some a bit bigger for families and stuff, and then across there's retail, office, and old aged facilities. So it will add, as you can see, quite a lot to this area that kind of had nothing in it. It was a bit unsafe for the people here. And with the SIL, that's like the community infrastructure levy that we're putting forward with this site, we're going to be also got a school nearby with it. So as you can see, like with some big developments can come big infrastructure boost to the Grad, which I think is quite interesting with planning. Cool. And then this is another one of mine. So this one, does anyone recognise this building? No, cool. So this is an estate office that I got consent for last year, and actually this site is where the Great British Bake Off is filmed. So the marquee when it's up, I think it's down, yeah, the steps, and then it's down here. So if anyone watched the final last night, I did planning there. So basically, the scope of work was that the Welford estate needed a like, purpose-built office estate where they could have these discussions with companies and got that word like Netflix and BBC to be able to actually have somewhere to discuss and like bring forward. And for a lot of their contracts, they need that. That was a key aspect of work. So we looked at converting a old it was basically an old stable into this purpose-built estate office. It was quite constrained, although it looks like it looks really beautiful. It also all has a lot of heritage importance. So the actual building itself, the church, and then even this wall was all listed. So basically, Historic England said that it was really important, and you need to be really careful what development you can then do to that. But yeah, so that all went through. Oh, and there was then also like looking at like the trees in the area as well, and making sure that all the root protection zones were protected. But yeah, it went really well, and it's now in place. I don't know how it's gone construction wise because once you get planning, we sort of hand it over to the builders. But still a pretty cool project. So yeah, so that's sort of our main like all like a taste of like the case studies we work on, or projects we work on. In terms of other clients, we work with a massive range of clients, from everyone from like the Crown Estate, down to like the house builders and Taylor Wimpey and Barrett, AFC Bournemouth. So my team is doing the AFC Bournemouth stadium expansion, which is a very high profile and a very interesting project to work on. And then like Asda, we've got both Bournemouth and Southampton University and in there that we've done work for. So yeah, so the thing to really emphasise with planning is that you work with a massive range of people and a massive range of projects, and especially when you work regionally, you feel like you're really a part of. I was going to say I'm biased because I'm regional. You feel like you're really a part of the development of your area. Which I lived and went to uni in Southampton. It's pretty positive. So, on to grad opportunities. So there's three different types of opportunities that we have at Savills. We've got the grad scheme. So while we have a planning grad scheme, there's a massive range. We've got urban design, rural estate management, surveying, so like developments, the buying, selling of land, agency, and that's everything from like sort of classic estate agency up to like commercial, licensed leisure, so looking at pubs at hotels. There's a big old range. I've got a nice big QR code if anyone does want to scan. That will take you to the main sort of like grad scheme site.